perfectly happy to publicly talk shit about Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, let's.
They don't sponsor us. Are you on?
You're not on.
You're not on.
You're not on. Super producer Curtis King, ladies and gentlemen.
1, 2, 1, 2. Hey.
Oh, wait, no, never mind. That's Chris's fault.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Not super producer.
Not super mediocre producer Chris Reyes.
Chris Reyes.
Oh.
Ready?
Born ready.
We're good. Let's just start the show right now
Yeah,
we can get into this.
We're not bantering?
That was it. This is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. That's not even a song. I'm just making that up.
How's everybody's headphones good?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Feel like we're doing good.
I got my bantering.
Feel like we're ready to move in.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? My hand's on the thing. Here we go. Don't flush the toilet.
Crappy Awesome Podcast.
Welcome to another mildly smelly episode of the Crappy Awesome Podcast. We're your host, the Diego Brown Project. I am Mr. Arash, even though nobody calls me Mr.
I don't even know where'd you reach that one from.
And with me, of course, is KILLcRey, who we'll just call Chris. I don't know why I thought of that. I'm not insinuating anything. It smells wonderful in here.
Does it smell
No, it smells great. It
actually does smell really nice
that's
in here.
the first thought that I had when I walked in here was like, oh, it smells really nice.
Oh, I think it's because when we came in, Curtis said, I
Trash.
just wanted to make sure that it didn't smell in here, so they probably get stuck in your head.
Maybe, yeah.
He said something about
Oh, so some subconscious.
So, yeah, you did some.
That's how it works.
You did some of that
That's how it
voodoo on me. Some of that mental judo. I see how it is. We're, of course, brought to you by PlatformCollection.com, which absolutely does not smell because it's on your computer screen. So that would be weird if you could smell it.
We're working on that, though.
Yeah, we're working on the smell-o-vision.
Yeah, that's next.
Yeah, the next video you watch that takes place
You
in
can
LA.
just smell the
You can
essence of the artist.
I know. You can smell the pollution
Yeah.
and the mild depression. Anyway,
Yeah.
PlatformCollection.com. Make sure you go over there and check out all the music videos and essays and blog entries, and there's just tons and tons of content. And while you're there, check out our Sibling Podcasts. There is Life on the Road with 60 East.
Yeah.
Were we on 60 East to get here? What freeway did it
We've
take?
been on it today.
We have,
somewhere.
though.
But we've confirmed that he doesn't necessarily live off 60 East.
Yeah.
Right?
That's I should just name
That's a
myself
mystery.
Broadway.
Right. He's off the 60.
Yeah.
Noah just confirmed that on the last show.
He is, yes. Speaking of which, orchestrated with Noah James and Lisa J.
Yeah.
Most definitely check that one out.
Yes.
Really though?
With
Cookbook.
Cookbook.
Proof of Life Radio and Status Escalate. Both still hosted by Kali.
Hosted by Kali.
Okay. And of course, Bars Weekly. You want to make sure to check that out as well. The Ghetto Blaster podcast hosted by Ricochet.
Yes.
And pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Pretty fresh.
With Muds One.
Hosted by Muds One. And of course, the 2Megs Hologram podcast. Still going long and strong and hard, and you've heard all that already.
Yes.
Shout out to our sponsors, Stay Illuminated. For all your fresh gear and lifestyle needs, do visit stayilluminated.com right now and use the code CrappyAwesome for free shipping anywhere in the multiverse.
Known universe. Well, we're doing multi.
We could.
I don't know if we have any
Known
proof that there
universe.
is a multiverse.
There's some contracts.
It's up for debate.
There's some contracts that I forget. I was reading somewhere saying the coverage extends to the known universe. But not
there's
beyond or
music
something.
contracts.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's music. A lot of them say that. To the known universe.
so if
Like a 360 deal.
they're planning for a possibility that we could find a new universe.
You
got
gotta
to
be ready for that,
in,
man.
And we are
How much money would you lose?
preparing ourselves for fucking the marketing in that world.
Oh, yeah, we're going to fuck marketing there, too. Yeah. That's what marketing does.
We're going to meet new
It's a
alien
machine.
entities and try to sell music to them.
We are. We are going to try to figure out how to sell music to fucking aliens.
That's the 720 deal.
Wow, yeah, because we're going to have to hit that other dimension.
Yes.
Damn.
They're like, well, we came in peace until you fucked us with your contract.
You know what I think that
The
sounds
aliens are
like?
kinda
I own my publishing on the moon.
I think that sounds like another book.
Yeah. That right there, by the
The
way, would be-
prosperous hip-hop producer for aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to be different for them.
the prosperous alien hip hop producer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. How
Okay.
to keep your rights on Saturn.
How to keep your rights on set, because it's tricky. The gravity. Yeah. The gravity of things.
The gravity of things.
Yes.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Platform Collection. That is one word all spelled out. And on Twitter at Platform Collect
Notion.
with Notion. And of course, Burner Podcast over at burnerpodcast.com. Hosted by yours truly and covers the Burning Man community.
Yes.
Tell them about Stitcher, iTunes, and
Yeah, if you're listening to this on Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spreaker, or where all podcast platforms are found, right?
yeah, everywhere.
Just look, you can find it everywhere now.
There's places where you're like, I don't even understand why there's a podcast here, but there is.
Yeah, I don't feel like saying all of them anymore.
Okay,
I think it's just podcast, right? Like wherever podcasts are found,
wherever, yeah,
because that's really what it is.
because not everybody has that.
Yeah,
I almost feel like the system is designed so that like it weeds out the people who only released 4 shows.
yeah. In podcasting,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen multiple.
You know, somebody's legit when you Google it, and then they're like on channels you've never even heard of before.
Right.
Right.
That's a good way to tell
It
it.
is a good way to tell them.
Are you good with that?
I am.
Okay.
We'll start doing it.
Dude, Curtis King is here. I'm super excited, man, because I have some ideas and questions with some things I think you can help me as an expert in what you're doing.
Interesting.
I'm
Okay.
having some mental blocks,
Sure.
some crazy mental blocks. Ladies and gentlemen, Curtis King, by the way. Curtis King. Hey. I want to vlog. I can see it in my head,
Okay.
what I want it to be. I know there's a mental block, right? Like I just started a new podcast. That was a little bit of a mental block, being by myself, not having a rush to lean on. Like,
Right.
really, and I talked about it on the show, really dealing with whether or not you guys care to hear what I have to say.
Right.
And so then times that by video, and that's where I'm at right now, because I'm just
Right.
like, oh man, like I'd like to watch the show I have in my head.
Right. It's compounded by the extra pressure.
Yeah, that extra pressure
Sure.
of I need to know the process that you got to with sitting in front of a camera and going, here's my soul.
The power of archiving footage.
Archiving footage.
The power of having multiple options. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder when, how can I put it? It's a lot harder to judge the trajectory of your show when you only have one show in your head to judge off of, or just one in front of you. So I think that having multiple shows to choose from, it takes a lot of the emotion away from it, a lot of the pressure away from it. So, when I'm able to produce 6 or 7 videos, if one of them is a dud that week, that's fine. But if that's the only one that I did, the pressure is outrageous. So in the very beginning, I knew my quality wasn't the best video-wise. I was shooting on my iPhone 6.
Okay.
I knew the audio wasn't the best, but I created so much powerful content that I knew that I asked myself, I said, back in the days when I was like super fan of, either an Eminem, and I heard all of these freestyles with, God knows what equipment they were using to record them at shows. I actually sat there and tried to figure it out. Why? Because I was such a fan of the rapping. It didn't matter the quality to me.
Yeah.
Even if it was bad, even if it was stuff that I ripped off of the radio.
Yes.
That didn't matter that it was on a tape deck that, downgraded generation by generation. But I think that comes down to, literally having more options to choose from. There's less pressure about what somebody will think of it. And I think there's less pressure on you to think of what this has to be. It doesn't have to be anything. If anything, it's another checkpoint along the road.
Yeah.
So for me, initially, getting the comfortability came from I worked harder than any critique that could be thrown at me.
Yeah.
I worked at a much faster pace than, I hate the word hate, but any hate that could be distributed my way or any critiquing.
Which meant logistically what? Like that you're putting out, by the time they get done judging one video, you've already put out 2 more.
Right. By the time you're seeing actual footage, I've already probably made upgrades for the new footage after this. But the thing is, either way, I have to get out there. There was a book that I was reading. It's actually up here. Failing Forward by John C. Maxwell.
Yes.
And I'm never around my books during podcasts, so like I really want to grab that at some point and get that. But he says that there's a process, and I'm glad I read this before I did any video. There's a process to any success, no matter what road you're on, right?
Yep.
And to paraphrase it, and I've said this before, I believe, on an episode, but in the beginning is, people think that you're stupid for taking on what you're taking on. The second thing is, and I felt that when I was making videos, I was like, people are going to be like, who are you to give out advice? You're still an artist. You're still a rapper. You're not a guy that's quote unquote made it in the mainstream world. How are you going to show me how to get success that you don't have for yourself? And so people were, was saying what they were saying. A lot of it was like, it wasn't direct, but I saw a lot of people saying like, now people are experts about everything.
Oh,
and so I would see that on my own timeline, and I would be like, okay, and I understood where they were coming from, because there was no proof that this would be successful, not even for myself.
Yeah.
And so the second step after people think you're going to be stupid, you're actually going to be stupid. So I had to have those times where I would shoot 12 minutes worth of footage and never turn the record button on. Right. Or finally get a microphone to record myself and figure out that it's not even compliant with my iPhone.
Yeah.
Or compatible with my iPhone. And so I had to make these dummy mistakes, these rookie mistakes, but I was so aggressive about getting to the end destination. It didn't matter. Third step is people say, well, okay, he may be stupid, but he works hard. I had so much video done that became the new critique. He doesn't know everything, but he's really working hard.
Yeah.
After the work hard became, you know what? I mean, you can't spend that much time with anything and not be knowledgeable. Mm-hmm. So then they acknowledge the fact that maybe I'm at least knowledgeable.
Right. Because you're proving your expertise by being consistent.
But every time it's another, what they don't realize is they're giving a critique to what you're doing, but it's literally them witnessing you stepping up another step on the ladder.
Yeah.
So from being knowledgeable and hardworking, at that point, they have a few different directions to go with that. Either they're not consuming it, or they're saying, you know what, he may be the truth.
Yeah.
And then there comes the whole level of genius after that. Now, there's more steps in between that, but that's pretty much a microcosm of what it looks like. Me knowing that before I went into it, I was ready for the ridicule. I was ready for the critiquing. I tried not to be too emotional. I'm still a human being, but I try not to be too emotional to the reactions, and realize that no matter what you think of this one video, it's a channel full of, at that point, 30 videos that I could be judged off of, and they're all progressively getting better. I knew that was going to happen, but if they didn't see it, that's fine. But I had to also make sure I focused on who was this for. That was a big one for me, is that when I realized that the people who are the most diehard, the ones that are the 20% of my demographic that consume 80% of my videos, if I satisfied them, if they're cool, I'll forever be golden. But the moment I turn on the other people who are like casual watchers, casual commenters, commentators, that's when I start losing focus, and I start obsessing over every single detail in every video, when it shouldn't be like that. If I'm here for a purpose, that stuff will really not matter.
There's like an interesting thing that I'm like noticing, because there was I remember you going through a time with hip hop where you were noticing the voices, and the voices were around you, and there was a time that it was pushing you into frustration. Right. How do you avoid that with a new thing that you may not have as much confidence as you did with, your other crafts?
Right.
Like, this is a new craft. How are you reckoning with the dude? Because here's the thing. This is important too. And Arash and I were talking about this on the way up. I'm also good with the answer being, I just know I would be good at it, because I understand what that means. Right. You know what I mean? For me in my head, I understand what that means. Did you have that? Were you just like, I'm not actually afraid of this thing. I can do this thing. It's not a big deal.
It's a new thing. I think that's what you said. That was the key to what you said. It's a new thing. So there is no blueprint for how this is going to look. So my trajectory could literally be off the scale, or it could be not so good, But at the end of the day, I think that my excitement for the vision I saw was much more important than anything that anybody could say about what was going on. And so it wasn't that I was going in there saying I'm going to be this great, because people are still amazed that every single one of these curspirations starts with a one-line sentence. And then I go into this 12-minute, I mean, you can call it a rant if you want to, but it's very organized thoughts that I just throw right then and there. We do one take each, and it just goes on. And it became a skill that I developed, but I felt like it was not that far from the skills that were required as a hip-hop artist to create on the spot, to make these grand.
So you made that connection early.
That connection was very early, because I realized, you know, as a rapper or even as a performing artist, you need even as a host, you need a certain level of skills to you know, not only articulate yourself but make it as clear as possible to an audience that doesn't give a damn about what you're saying. They're there to only support the person that
even through like the improv and everything.
And you know, mind you, in college I took, you know, there was a stand-up comedy class at Cerritos College I took, and there was
Did you really?
Yeah, there's a video out on YouTube right now.
Were you good?
Nah, I mean, I guess it was a girl there. She was like cracking up. She loved it. That's all I needed.
But you had a fan.
Yeah, I had one there. Yeah. But it was, you know, very corny, like early 2000s type of jokes, like cell phone jokes and stuff like that. You know, flip phone jokes. But
what is up with flip phones?
Yeah. Like it's just corny stuff. But I say that to say, when I first got into it, I think that my frustration now in retrospect, as I really think about that time period, because we had conversations off the air a lot about the frustration. What I realized was that it was the same uncomfortability you have with when you outgrow a shoe. It's asking you to grow in some capacity. Yeah. So in some capacity, I thought it meant that I had to grow as a hip hop artist. What I didn't realize was that I felt that I was outgrowing the ideologies and outgrowing the politics of this industry that I was a part of since I was 17. Yeah, because I felt like in a lot of ways I had to readjust to an industry that had a mindset that was already pretty young in terms of the things that are okay and not okay. With this is hip hop, this is not hip hop, and that goes for mainstream and underground. That goes for some of the most intellectual rappers I know that still have, at the very base, a mindset that is stagnant, it's stuck. And for me, I didn't see that. I just thought it was a matter of the politics between underground and mainstream. And then what I didn't realize until I did a live stream where I was announcing that I was, you know, moving on from rapping, KILLcRey jumped in a live stream, you know, MC from IE, and he basically said, I think that you outgrew the genre. And I think that you were afraid to say that. You were afraid to embrace that, because what does that mean? Does that mean that you're better than a genre? No. Does that mean that I would never ask those questions. But when he said that, I started understanding that, you know, a lot of the things that I was doing, like the shows that I was going to and the things that I was being involved with, a lot of it felt like, here I am growing on a spiritual level or growing in other capacities, and this is no longer helping me grow. Right. If anything, this is an environment where, you know, the conversations that I want to have, if I have them, people are going, you know, I'm too high for that, Kurt. Like, go about your business.
Yeah, because it was more of like a bus stop, not like a destination. Like it was, people. I mean, we've talked about this a lot now, and I think people are starting to become aware of like a lot of these places where we start off artistically are you're supposed to be passing through. Yeah, you're not supposed to be setting up camp. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's very easy to fall into that because it's comfortable. People take care of you. There's lines people won't cross. Yeah. And everything but that is super scary.
And it's in the sake of pursuing your dreams. Yeah. And it's like most people will look at somebody as a jerk if they told you like your time here is done. Right. You know, but I think that in the same way we need people that support us, we need the balance of people who are just like brash about the decisions we make, brash about, you know, our pursuit and things. And I don't want anybody to get the idea that I felt like, oh, I was over the hill. Like the last album we did, I was number 4 on iTunes. But for me, it was like, there's something more. There's something more than this. And the same fulfillment that I got with people reciting my lyrics was the same fulfillment I got with them reciting my curspirations or the philosophies that I shared. And at least this was in a capacity where I didn't feel like, and that's something else too, like, and that's a whole nother topic, is that, you know, there's a lot of rappers that I felt like we would probably be really good friends had we not met through rap.
Yeah, I see.
You ever get that feeling?
Yeah.
You ever get that feeling? Because I think a lot of it is there's like a sort of a passive aggressive nature to our dealings, to where you never know when somebody's dealing with you on a real level. There's been times I've had to tell people like, "How are you doing?" "Oh yeah, I'm out here, man. You know, I'm working on the project, finishing." I'm like, no.
Yeah.
How are you?
Right.
This is a question from human being to human being. This is not rapper to rapper.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, you know, there's even a hesitation to share your good news amongst people that you're supposed to be good with, and you realize that immediately, because we're in an art form, hip hop, that although it may come off aggressive to other people, it actually requires us to be very sensitive to our environments, our stories, our history, our relationships. Everything becomes that open book.
Yeah.
You know, even a person that's rapping about, you know, money, clothes, and hoes is still, you know, pushing those emotions down and talking about very surface level stuff to avoid those emotions. It's still a very sensitive thing to do.
Right.
So, you know, with that said, what I started realizing is like this is passive aggressive nature to my dealings with people. And I really feel like I wasn't getting a straight answer about things. I feel like everything was sort of like this. Somebody was having a conversation in their head about how they really felt about me, but the conversation we were having was completely different.
Right.
And not until I began to do these videos that were available to anybody to go check out. I wasn't telling anybody how to live their life. I wasn't telling you I'm better than anybody. I certainly have made more mistakes.
What was your first video? Do you remember it?
The first video was the biggest. No, that wasn't the first one. The first one was why tagging your friends on Facebook is killing your algorithm.
Right.
Right. It never starts off like the movies, because the movies would probably be like, if somebody was making my movie, they would make The Biggest Lion in Hip Hop as the first video, because that was the impactful one.
Yeah.
But the first one was that. Like, I got tired of my friends. I got tired of two things: my friends tagging me on Facebook, and the post not going anywhere, and then I'm always getting updates on my phone of somebody else's post that I never even said that I was interested in knowing anything about. Yeah. And now I'm seeing this person respond to all of them, and I'm turning notifications off, and it happens again. Not only did I got tired of that, but I got tired of the rappers who were complaining about the rappers who did that, but weren't showing them the way.
Right.
So for me, it was like, well,
yes,
has anybody ever researched like whether or not this is actually beneficial to somebody or hurtful? And so I looked it up, and I was like, oh, there's a thing called an algorithm. What if I just shared that in 3 minutes in a way where I always knew I had a gift for making like really complex things like hysterically simple. Right. And so that's what I tried to do. I tried to make it relatable. I tried to make it like I was having a conversation with somebody that I already knew.
Much like the book.
Much like the book, you know. And so that's what spawned these videos. And then soon after, you know, I noticed people were passively aggressively talking about that video. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't stand these folks that, you know, get on the internet and all of a sudden they're gurus and this and that. And it was like, and let me put this, let me put this in hypersensitivity too. But
maybe, but let me put this in context for people so that they can understand this. Because for sure that was happening.
Right.
For sure I saw it happening. And one of the things though is that people should understand is that when that stuff was coming out, what Curtis was doing, you know, in doing vlog-like videos, right? And this might sound crazy to a lot of people. Literally, there was nobody else doing it within, like, our general vicinity.
Yeah.
So
when you're saying folks...
So it wasn't just people that were... Like, there wasn't just people... Like, because, trust me, I saw the hate. There was also a whole other side of people that were going, like... Damn, he's really on to something. Like, Curtis is pushing us all into a new... Because I mean, sure enough, everybody's followed. You were the first one. It's not like saying that nobody knew that. I'm not saying that you didn't know this.
Sure.
But in action, putting it into action, there was only one person doing it. It was you within our general vicinity. Mm-hmm. And since then, people have followed you in. And that can't really be argued, and it's important that people understand that from a context, because I know you're a humble dude. You're going to keep apologizing for thinking about, you know, like I don't want to say I was you were.
Right.
You were. It absolutely was the truth, and it has affected, even technology-wise, I've noticed how it's affected around and what people have built on and what you've done, right?
Right.
And now there's a general consensus for people who are actually putting in work,
right,
that you're a prototype. There's a prototype of how to, like, we need to at least be doing that.
Right.
And that's a great position. I think that's a very admirable position to be in, even if that wasn't your intention.
Initially, yeah.
Yeah, but that is a positive that comes out of it. And that's the thing when people start to look back at history, those are the things that raise their hands and garner attention because most people agreed on it.
Right.
You know, it's not like if people are hating on anything you do right now, it's super hard to find like some sort of legitimacy in it.
But see, that process I told you about John C. Maxwell.
Yeah.
That process,
forward.
that right there is what you're talking about. I knew that was part of the process.
Got you.
And I knew that it was probably going to be even more aggressive at this route because of how opinionated hip hop is. I knew that was going to happen. It's just the thing I think that surprised me was who. Because I thought it was people who already understood this was the program. Like
you were
know
leaving,
me.
you're leaving the nest earlier than everybody, so people tend to point out that person. Like when I leave the nest, wait till I leave the nest though. Like, yeah, he's doing it, but like when I do, like, I mean, you know how that shit goes.
Sure.
Are you finding yourself reading your comments more now? Because you're doing in particular, the art form you're putting out, like it kind of it's going to garner conversation because you're asking them to do that.
Right.
And I would think that you're probably not in a position to not read your comments because your comments are the conversation, the ongoing conversation is such a part of what you do.
It's important to the direction. Yeah. But you know what? I think the bigger thing is how I'm reading the comments. I mean, obviously, when you're reading text, I was reading another book and it's up there called De-Escalate, where it teaches you that when you're talking to somebody that's at a 10 and they're angry, pay less attention to the words and more attention to what they're really trying to say behind those words. Because people will say anything, the most vile things. And so when I look at the internet, you don't have the tone to go off of. All you have is cap locks on, cap locks off, a general avatar that kind of tells you if this is somebody who even wants to show their face.
Right.
And me knowing, a lot of the philosophies that I share from the stuff I've learned from Tony Robbins, I start to understand, sort of where that person's 3 specific needs are from. And that's why their internet addiction is the way it is, why their trolling addiction is the way it is. When you understand it psychologically, I feel like you feel less threatened and
more empathy
for them in that situation. And I think that goes for a lot. It goes for people even in power.
Yeah.
To where people that, I used to be a part of the rest of the crowd where they would say this person is this and this and that.
Right.
And then when you start to understand what they value about the things that they say, you start to look at them and kind of see them under a different microscope. So when I look at the comments, I don't look at the comments, looking for a fight anymore. And that used to be my mentality. Like, you don't talk about what I'm doing. Like, I'm passionate.
Right.
And then also too, the frequency in which I look at my stuff, it's a byproduct. I look at it less because it's a byproduct of how much I'm working. And the thing is, when I get something that's happening that's negative, I have to put that energy somewhere. If I see something that it might have like an ounce of truth in it, or at least an ounce of my insecurity in it, immediately I take that energy into working instead of responding to them. Because if I have that energy, I got to do something with it.
Yeah.
Got you.
The example,
free fuel.
Yeah, the example.
Exactly.
The example I always give people is that, like, getting offended. I quit getting. I always tell people, like, I quit getting offended like I quit cigarettes. Like, it's just like a bullshit thing. Let's just quit. Because getting offended, really, by that, like, what it is you've created this persona. You want the world to believe that this persona is real.
And someone is challenging.
Somebody challenges, throws a hole in it, you get offended, and what you're basically doing is you're blackmailing people into falling in line and pretending like this persona is real because they're scared to. So if you know something is absolutely bullshit, if you believe with every part of you, like in your heart, that what they're saying is absolute bullshit, it's not going to offend you. That's just like basic logic. And like the example I give people is I'm 6'5". That's like if somebody said, I'm like, perfect example. Make fun of me for being short right now. Like, start giving me shit right now for being short.
There's nothing to it.
I'm just going to laugh. Exactly. Like, there's no logic to that whatsoever. Whereas if you were to, I don't know, make a joke at me for, like, being an attention seeker.
Right.
And like some part of me gets a little offended. there's probably because there's some truth in that. I'm a public persona. That's a part of who I am.
Right. So, but you know what's interesting about that? There's a book that I read called Unoffendable.
Okay.
And I picked it up because I was in a place where I was hypersensitive to a lot of things around me because, there was a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships that I didn't have anymore. And I was seeing a lot of stuff on a regular basis where I was like, there's a good chance that's towards me, right? And I was like, how can I just turn that part of my brain off or that part of my emotion? And so I came across this book called Unoffendable, and I almost didn't get it because I thought it was, it's made by a Christian author, and I thought it was going to be like too Christianese to where it's like just trusting the word, and I believe there's value in that, obviously. Sure. But I feel like you got to go deeper, especially in this day and time where people, have already gone past just believe in the word.
Right.
We need something, some weight, some proof, something that makes us feel like I'm not just sort of living what my parents have taught me.
Yeah.
And so I read this book with an open mind, and it was eye opening because one of the biggest concepts in that is that we literally don't have the right to be offended.
Yeah.
Because anything that we have been offended by on some level, at the very base of it, we've done to someone else. So think of somebody who, disrespects you and says that you're an attention seeker. It says all these things and things that are not true about you. They're saying untrue things about you and it's hurt your feelings. If I look at it at its very base level, have I ever said anything untrue about somebody and because my feelings were hurt? And I can absolutely say that that's true. So you start to look at, you get in traffic and somebody, are obviously in the wrong and they cut you off. At that point in time, you're not going to think about this because you're worried about what they did to you. But in all actuality, do you have the right to grasp onto that and let that be? Now, that's not to say there's not things in the world to be offended by. There's things that I'm completely offended by. But understanding that at its base level, you start to realize that there's so many opportunities for us to be offended by everything from the Christmas cup at Starbucks, and people were up in arms about that, and don't force Christmas on me. And it's like you start to realize that everything has its place. Had it not been for the negativity of a situation, you wouldn't embrace your positivity.
Right.
You wouldn't embrace what you have right now had it not been for your tumultuous journey. And so that book really taught me that. And then there's another book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That book is another one that is funny because right now people are like really latching on to Will Smith jumping on Instagram and he shares a philosophy that's from that book.
Right.
And the philosophy,
the recent video that came out,
fault versus responsibility.
Yeah.
There's so many things out there in the world we're not at fault for, but it's our responsibility.
Yeah.
Even somebody who gets hit by a drunk driver in their car, they are not at fault for that drunk driver hitting them and them now being able to not walk. But it's their responsibility to do everything in their power to get them mentally, their mental strength back in the same place.
And that's where the disconnect happens.
That's where the disconnect happens.
Let me ask you this. Have you been in a situation in your own life when that was your thought process? Like, this is happening to me and there's nothing I can do about it?
Hell yeah. I would say especially 2 years before, 2 years ago was when I went to go see Tony Robbins at that seminar, right? Before that, it was almost like a second instinct that these things are happening to me. And me being my personality, it wasn't so much like the world hates me. It was like, what did I do to deserve this? I must have did something. Was it that bad? That line of thinking was very poisonous to me because what I started to realize was that that's not the way things happen. Everything is happening to your benefit. It's happening for your inevitable growth. If you accept it as that, that's something Tony says too, is that in every circumstance, this is you either approach it as this is the beginning or this is the death of something. This is the end. Every story we tell ourselves. So if this is the beginning of something, then we have a lot more, hope towards where it's going. If this is the end, oh my God, everybody's coming down on me. Everybody hates me. Then that's sort of the reality that we're creating for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And in a lot of ways before that, I wish I could say I had that mentality the whole time. I've always been very optimistic, but many a times in my very personal times, I would take things people said about me and I would internalize them and say, damn, maybe there is some truth to that. Maybe there is something I'm doing. And what it made me do was like micromanage everything around me. And they weren't actually things that were based in fact. They were just because it felt real enough to address.
What is something that you tried to fix that didn't need fixing?
The whole idea of me being self-centered and me being, sort of all about me, and me being, I think that was the biggest thing. Or Hollywood, that was a big one for me. Oh my God,
wow.
I used to like piss me off because I felt like I meet people and when I really, really meet who they are, I start to realize I give them a lot more respect than they're used to from people around them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
That can cause two reactions. One, you can approach me with the same energy, or two, you can think that I'm a fraud and that you're just the only one not acting like everybody else.
Yeah.
And so I took
You're being too nice to
You're
me.
being too nice to me. Like, I don't trust you. And that's what it was a lot of times, especially with rappers. They're used to a certain way of politicking with each other. And when you don't do that, you're speaking another language to them. And so they automatically get defensive most times, and they look at that and say, you probably out to get me. So then people would do things in my very early years in the IE where they would come up to me and they would give me a compliment, quote unquote. I'm using the bunny ears. They would give me a compliment and say, man, you really running things out. You killing things out here in the IE. And I have one or two options. One, I could say, well, I appreciate the love and whatnot, but I wouldn't say I'm running things. I'm just adding my parts to the puzzle, which is what I would do most of the time. Or I could turn around and embrace it. Oh, good looking out. Just by saying good looking out. And that person now would take that little piece of conversation and say, he thinks he's everything out here. He thinks he runs this shit. Just because they brought that reality to me.
Set you up.
Set me up. Yeah. And then that conversation would carry on to person to person to person. It was crazy. I didn't realize how impactful those conversations were until about a year ago. I read an article by, you familiar with Gazooks?
Yes.
He made an article, why do people hate Curtis King so much? Or something along those lines. And I read it and I realized that how many conversations have I had with, LA artists, IE artists, where in the back of their mind, they had this expectation of who I am.
Yeah.
And I didn't match that. Not only did I match that, a part of them actually liked me. They hated that they liked me because I wasn't arrogant about doing the things that I do. And it was crazy. I had another conversation recently with a buddy of mine who's known me since I moved to the IE. He says, what you got to realize is that, people are not used to seeing your breed, whether it's, all the things you take on. Like, I take on video editing and producing and rapping and all the things that I take on. I don't look at that as like another notch on my belt. I could care less about the notch. I got to get it done.
Yeah.
And I'm used to like janky graphic designers. I'm used to lazy graphic designers. I'm used to lazy video editors. I'm used to people who, just don't have the vision that I have in that. And maybe that can come off as arrogant or whatnot, but I have to get it done. I'm a DIY worker. And he said, that right there makes somebody feel like, if I can't offer you anything, what do you need me for?
Yeah, what's my worth?
What's my worth?
Right.
To you. So it's easier for them to be at odds with that because they don't have to address the fact that that's their insecurity screaming out. I couldn't see that because at the time I was too internalizing my own feelings to be like, man, what am I doing wrong? Why do people feel that way towards me? Like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I would go over the top and laugh at their corny ass jokes so that they would be cool with me. Like, I just want you to
want you to really know that I'm being cool with you.
I put my hand like I would take, like, they would be like, man, I see you out here really doing your thing. Yeah, but you really doing your thing out here. And I would put extras on it because I didn't want that energy on me, but it put me in a place where I wasn't being 100% honest, with circumstances, and I should have just let them play out instead of trying to change them or change the perspective of who I am. Because now it's crazy. When I when I said that I was going to stop rapping, when I start seeing rappers, I don't feel that same energy on them anymore. And I don't know if it's because they see me like, well, you're no longer a threat because you don't do the thing that I'm doing, or if that's because they're like, you really serious about this giving thing.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I like that energy more than what I was dealing with before.
Wow.
A lot of the journey that we all basically go through is going deeper and deeper inward until we find like what our most genuine self is.
Yeah.
And this might be like an evolutionary psychological thing where like human beings, our spidey sense goes off when we sense insincerity because we've evolved to be aware of that, because if we were dealing with that could get us killed.
Sure.
So, and we sense that in like everything, like you're familiar with the uncanny valley
No,
For listeners that aren't anyway, the Uncanny Valley is this Japanese scientist would introduce robots to people, and like they would progressively look more and more human. So for a long time, the people would say like they'd react positively to them, or they'd say, "Oh, that's kind of cute almost." But then when it started to look too human, it freaked them out.
Oh wow!
And so
I think disgust was actually
they get disgusted by it.
Wow.
And like and you see that in like movies where they try to do like a 3D graphics of like trying to recreate a person's face.
You don't know why you don't like it. You just don't like
just
it.
grosses you. It's disgusting
Because
to you. You can't figure it out.
the work itself is awesome.
Yeah.
But you don't like it because it doesn't look right.
But
Audacity.
it senses off your spidey sense. Like this thing was probably what protected us from getting killed when we were being faced with other entities that looked just enough like our tribe, but may have been a little bit different.
Right.
So it's almost like now, like you almost kind of see that even now, which is like with I don't know if you guys have had this experience. Directly bragging, people seem to be okay with. Humble bragging freaks people out.
Yeah.
If you're dancing around it just a little bit, and like a lot of like what you're describing is like that journey that I think we're all going through is that, and it's so funny. The end, we all already know what the end of it is. The end of it is the more sincere you are, the more honest you are, the more direct you are. You could be a fucking dick.
Yeah.
But honestly, like people want you to be your most sincere self.
But we need those
and when
people.
they're sensing that you're not being your most sincere self, they're looking for an excuse not to like you.
Well, see, I saw that whenever I would make an error publicly, I would see people that I haven't seen in years show up for that. And so then that's when I was like,
They were there for your falls.
it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
Because if I looked at that, I can just brush them off as a hater.
Yeah.
But I looked at that and I said, what would drive somebody to only show up when you mess up? Because in their mind, they thought you were flawless.
Yeah.
And so they had an instinct, they had an inkling to say, no, there's no way he's flawless. There's got to be something. And I mean, when it was time that I messed up, or even like, I'll give you an example. When Murs posted up a picture of him with my sister, and he was like, "Hi, Curtis," like just being like he was just playing or whatnot.
Yeah.
We was like coming off a tour. I seen rappers show up that I was like, we haven't had a conversation in years.
Oh, wow. And they were all chiming in.
And they're chiming in, and it's like, 1,000,
Because they think they see
emojis.
a kink in the armor.
And it's finally a time that we can rag on him, because I used to even be like, I used to turn down my light because of the insecurity of those around me sometimes, because I felt it where I would come into a room and it's a rapper that I'm producing for, and I know there's a feeling on him because of the questions he would ask, like, oh, what's going on with your rapping? Like, we're not here for that. I'm here at service for you as a producer. Don't worry about that. But I think it's a point of them where they look at that and say, this is all that I have.
Yeah.
How dare you come into this room, can do what I do, then do something I can't do, and still have the energy and the motivation from the same industry that has crushed my soul.
Yeah.
Where are you getting this extra energy from? It must be that you're doing something, illegal. It's almost like the guy that, it's almost like how people hate Tom Brady.
Yeah.
His resiliency, they hate it. Oh, they hate his resiliency. But put it on somebody else that, maybe doesn't achieve as much as he does, they get awarded. They get, awarded, like, oh my God, this guy's resiliency. But there's so much hate for a guy like that's resiliency, because they want you to mess up. They want to start seeing injuries happen. And I feel like for a lot of times people had this facade of me trying to put out perfection, when it was like, I thought we were all out here trying to put our best foot forward. Right?
We literally talked about this on the way up. I've come to a place in my life where just some things happened recently where I had like these download moments where I was just like, oh, that figured everything out, right?
Yeah.
And one of those things is that I have chosen a pursuit of mastery, right? Like I've chosen a pursuit of that. With that comes a lot. Most people are not choosing that.
No,
right?
At all.
They're not choosing that at all. So there's going to be some misunderstandings, right? There's also going to be people that see your mastery as, again, you're leaving the nest in a different direction. They like you. They'd like you to be around more. They don't know how to say that, so they need to tear you down a little bit.
Right.
Whatever it is, right?
Right.
But in choosing mastery right now, what I'm trying to reconcile with myself is that there are going to be people that are good people, they mean well,
Right.
But for whatever, they're not on a search for mastery. So as my search gets deeper and starts to move faster and farther, I'm going to have less energy to put into those things. I used to feel guilty about it.
Sure.
I don't feel guilty anymore.
You shouldn't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just because that's not, I know that's what comes with mastery. It's part of, it's just, and I'm choosing to do it, you know?
But see, you realizing that you're on the path to mastery, that's what kills a lot of people who have great intentions, you know, when they don't even realize that they're playing on a different, they're playing a different program entirely.
Absolutely.
And for the longest, I was readjusting myself to sort of the program of the masses of my particular...
Instead of concentrating on your master.
Instead of saying, I got to go make my Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
I got to have my... Instead of studying Kanye and studying all these people that I looked up to and saying, oh, at 28, I got to do this. Oh, he won a Grammy at this. I got to... That's not my biography. That's not my move. Like if that was the situation, I might as well go to Vegas and start dressing like and being an impersonator and getting money like that.
Yeah.
You know, but that's not what I'm building. And the moment that I had that light bulb go off and I realized that we're playing a different program. There's been situations where I would go into the room, and I don't care how arrogant this is, I would go into the room, you know, with my manager, and he was, my last manager, very intelligent man. And we would go into this room, I said, we are more intelligent than the people in this room who have more power than us.
Right.
And a lot of times they'll say no, knowing that you'll do excellent work simply because of the security of their own job.
Yeah. Sure.
Right.
Yes.
And so how many times has that happened where I'm like trying to build with somebody genuinely and trying to provide. And in their head, they're like, I can't let you get in here because if the person that tells me what to do gets a hold of you, you're going to take over my...
Right. And where's my relevance?
Was never my intentions.
Yeah.
But me seeing that now, I started realizing
that is a default for a lot of people, though.
It
goes straight to what does this person want?
It goes back. Well, I think it goes back to the thing we were talking about being offended earlier.
Yeah.
Like if you meet somebody who you're afraid might be better than you, I suggest it's time to fucking step it up.
Yeah.
The first thing that I would do is I would step it up and I would invite that person in.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I really want to know that person.
Yeah. You should be a part of my team. Let me hone that energy.
And that's the quickest way to learn anything, by modeling someone else's, you know, their order of doing things, their physiology, and their philosophy towards it. If you know why they're doing it, if you know their order of doing things, if you know the physical, how they physically get themselves ready to do it, that you could do anything that somebody else does.
Yeah.
I looked at it like that, and then I added on top of that, I said, I also have an opportunity to be of value to you. You never forget the person that taught you how to tie your shoes, how to ride a bike, how to basically tell you the very essentials of something you value to this day.
Yeah.
So I look at that and I say, if this rapper has a crazy Twitter following, like there's a few rappers that you know had crazy followings who were scared to death to put a piece of merchandise out there because they said, what if it doesn't sell, and what if I fail in front of all these people?
Yeah.
Right? What if everybody says it sucks, and then that has a negative effect on my music? And so there I come. I don't have the social media following they have, but I have the history of putting merchandise together. I have the history of having failed merchandise.
Yeah.
I have some value to give to this person now. As they sort of go up, and it's funny because I heard a quote when I was 16 that said, the fastest route to your goals is to help somebody on the journey to theirs. That's the quickest route.
Yeah.
You see that fork in the road, you know, people think like, oh, I got to go do for self. No. You literally have to figure out, how can I make this journey for somebody who's behind me easier? Because it's the thing about it, the connections that I've made in this industry, only 5% of them have been from people of massive influence. 95% of them have been people who are just regular Joe and Schmoes who have no sort of connection into music except maybe a friend or a relative, or they introduced me to somebody. Literally my first shows when I was like back in the day, like featuring on reggaeton records and whatnot, that was the product of MySpace friends saying, I think you guys should come together and do music.
Yeah.
But those people get overlooked when we're talking about networking up and trying to build our way up. Those are the people who literally should be treated like royalty in this particular industry, but I didn't realize that. So now when I start to see that it's not about just connecting with those people, but figuring out the decision makers, figuring out people along the way that can help, you know, that you can help along the way, whether it's your music that's helping them or whatever it is, those people are the ones. It wasn't the best rapper in the area that got me to submitting beats off to, you know, rappers I wanted to work with. It was the rapper that was quote unquote not so good lyrically, but was ready to pay.
Yeah.
that's the guy that gets in the rooms because people respect the fact that he pays for what he wants. He'll go in there and pay early, grease the wheels to make sure that you do good work.
Yeah.
That's his mentality. So he gets in places that the most talented artists don't get into. When I saw that, I was like, you know what? I ain't gonna do the same thing my mom did when I was coming up. Like when we would go in downtown LA, and no matter what somebody's racial background was, no matter if they could speak English or not, she treated them like royalty. Like she treated them like the person in VIP got treated just as good as the person that owns the building.
Yeah.
In her book. Then I started doing that. That started getting me to the right people, and then realizing once again, going back to the topic at hand, is that you're playing a different game. Most people don't operate like that. So when you realize you're playing a different game, you can't be angry when somebody scores a touchdown when you're up here shooting jumpers. This is just different sports. We're not in the same game. So when I realized that what I'm doing right now is literally trailblazing an opportunity so that when rappers who are 23, 24, you now have another stream of income thanks to the work that we are all doing right now.
Yeah.
From even the podcasting to even doing the YouTube. Now somebody coming up, it doesn't sound so ridiculous for somebody to tell their 24-year-old father, I want to start a YouTube channel and I want to make money like that.
Yeah.
Because now the father can say, oh yeah, Curtis King did this, and this person, like they have something to go off of.
I just had a friend call me about his daughter.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
Charlotte's 13-year-old daughter. He wanted some heads up on, because that's what she wants to do as a career.
And it's possible now. 15 years ago, when I talked to my dad, who had a doctor degree, that I wanted to make beats on a PlayStation and make a living at that, it sounded utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Absurd.
It was absurd.
Yeah.
Now, even as time is going on, like the same pops that was like, I don't know about that, is the same one invited me into his college classrooms to speak about my journey.
Yeah.
That full circle, I was like, you know what? That's what it's truly about, is that if you can find something that's worthwhile, something that comes easy to you but more difficult to others, that's the first thing. Second thing, something you would do and do it for free, that's the second thing. Third thing is something that actually gives value to people around you, you found your God-given purpose.
Yeah, yeah.
After that, turn it up and keep going, because what's going to happen is you'll have so much work in front of you. If you establish yourself as a problem solver, you will always have an opportunity to generate income, no matter what you're doing. If you're a problem solver, people will come find you, and you'll have to turn money away.
Yeah.
You know, what I think most people out here are, they're problem starters.
Yeah,
they're problem starters, and they're not looking for what I can do for the next person.
Are there problem finders?
We have
so many of those.
Yeah.
Where people just looking to be offended, looking for things to, how do we reckon, like, especially like in the hip hop culture, right? Where we've created, the professional hater is a job.
Sure.
Right? And we probably push it up more, only second to like pop culture, right? Which we are pretty much pop culture now.
Hip hop talks about haters more than any other community I have ever
Absolutely.
navigated.
Absolutely.
It's just the favorite topic of discussion.
Right. And
we can all grab to it immediately. I know a hater.
And now we're in this time where people, just like the little girl who watches, Kurtspirations and goes, hey, I want to do that.
Right.
There's also some little girl somewhere that watches Joe Budden and goes, man, he kind of hates on certain things. I want to hate on certain things, but I don't have that knowledge, but I'm going to put it out anyways, because I can put it out just like Joe Budden's putting it out. And my information is all, like, I mean, how do you see this working itself out?
I don't think it needs to be rectified.
Yeah.
I think that it's necessary for the ecosystem.
Got you.
I think that we don't appreciate the people who give constructive criticism unless we have somebody that's just a full-blown hater and doesn't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
You appreciate this person even more.
Yeah.
So I think that, the thing is, I think that for the longest, I didn't realize I wanted this. And then when I realized I wanted it, I didn't want it anymore, which was, I wanted people to be more like me.
That's fun. That's a big one.
I don't want that. Like, and when you get older, you start to realize, like, how boring would this world be?
You don't want that.
If I was surrounded by a bunch of me's.
Right.
And I think I'm okay. I think I'm pretty cool, but I wouldn't want a bunch of me's around. I need that guy that I call and I play him something. He said, this is trash.
Yeah.
Just like I need the other person that listens to this and says, it's got a nice beat to it. Another person that says, you know what, if you tweak this, I think you'll really get the vision forward. I need that whole balance. So I think all these people, I think that was a problem too, is that I thought, okay, we got to get these people out of the culture for the preservation of it. No, the preservation of it occurs when you have opposing viewpoints. So now that I look at it from that perspective, I'm like, okay, so then how can we get the quality of these positions to be even better?
Yeah.
Because as long as the conversation is there, as long as the passion is there behind it, once the passion is gone, it's not, the ecosystem is dead.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's either the beginning or it's the end. And when I see, like, now we're talking about a hater not just being a guy at the show who puts his thumbs down and says boo. A hater now is, you know, a rapper who had a successful career independently and then goes to, you know, one of the biggest online publications. Now we're talking about bigger quality problems, and then turns around and gets an offer from Revolt TV.
Yeah.
Like, these are better quality problems. Even if you're not a fan of him, for the big picture, I look at that and say, that's good, because now that means that people are still passionate, still care, and that we can evolve this into something else.
And the opportunities are growing.
The opportunities are growing. And then even, here's the thing about it, by seeing somebody like a Joe Budden do what he did, it now turns the responsibility upon the viewer, the 7-year-old viewer, the 14-year-old viewer. He may say, you know what, I like what Joe Budden was doing by basically, like, you know, calling out people in the industry. But if I were to do it, I would do it this way.
Right. We need a baseline to keep evolving. Right.
Somebody's got to be Vanilla Ice first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then now we can bring, you know, forth, you know, the music that is now a part of the mainstream that we respect.
Dude, I can make a direct tie. Check this out.
Okay.
I can make a direct tie from Kanye to Lil Yachty to Vanilla Ice.
Oh, sure.
Like, right? You can see that, right? Right.
Yeah.
And so I definitely understand, like Arash, one of the things that we've been talking about a lot today is just how much of a transition period this is we're going through right now.
Right.
Across the board.
Right.
Right. And we have a lot of people, you know, that go, oh, hey, it's cyclical. It just comes around again, blah, blah, blah. And it does. Things do go back and forth. However, the state of being right now is something that we haven't seen in our human history.
Right.
The state of being is we're finding new ways to exist in people's lives. Right. In very meaningful ways. My mom cried over a Facebook video. These are things that are touching people at their souls.
Yeah.
So, and not all of them have negative repercussions, right? Like it used to be like we're taking too much in on our screens. It comes to find out that our minds are starting to learn faster, right? Because of the screens, right? So there's all these different things, right? But we are in a confusing time.
Yeah, I keep hearing, like, I'm seeing all these videos. I keep hearing all this messaging about like spending too much time on YouTube and going down the rabbit hole and this and that. I'm listening to YouTube all day long, and I'm like,
it has only made my life,
oh my god,
better.
The list of ways that my life's gotten better,
and you've made the decision though, and you made the decision of what did you want to, what the quality of that rabbit hole would be.
Spot on, because YouTube takes whatever you feed it and takes you down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
These algorithms. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you show the slightest bit of interest in like Trump supporters, just out of curiosity, YouTube decides you must be crazy as fuck and just like takes you down the rabbit hole.
You guys want to hear a crazy one?
You purposely have to keep bringing it back.
You guys want to hear a crazy one that I think you both can, like, this is something that we've always kind of thought, right? This is currently happening. I'm going to send you a screenshot the next time it happens to me, okay? I'm with Eddie the other day. We stopped to have lunch after coming back from LA. There's like a little kombucha machine in the bar.
Okay.
And so I'm explaining to him what it is. He's never had it. And he's like, oh, cool. Yeah, I should have that, right? For the next 4 days, and I showed him each 4 days.
You saw ads.
Instagram for kombucha. Dude, I didn't look it up. I didn't say. It just.
Oh, it heard it. Yeah.
So
know that,
if it's happening at that level, right?
Let me ask you something.
It's so hard for me, and I know you guys deal with people like this in your own organizations and stuff like that. You know, there does seem like a denial though for a lot of people that it's happening.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Like, because it's happened so gradually.
Yeah.
Let me ask something though. Why is YouTube adamant that I am really, really interested in Step Up High Water?
I don't know, man.
What about my profile?
What is it? Yeah.
It's the newest sequel to Step Up.
Yeah.
Dancing,
Step Up High Water.
music. it doesn't get them all right. You know what I mean? It's like it's
so,
getting close.
Right.
No, but it's like aggressive. Like it keeps showing up on the top of my screen. It's
Maybe
like,
you should see it and find out.
Well, sometimes
that'd be scary, right?
That's super
Like you watched it and you're like,
bizarre. And it's like the
I'm
most
so into it.
It's so incredible.
no. But here's the second part of that too. Is that it's not so much your interest in that; it's so much their interest in your. It's their interest in what you're interested in.
Yeah.
So if you have to watch that step up ad to watch your videos that you want to see,
Yeah, we got you either way.
there's still got to be some marketing and some advertisement involved in
yeah.
it. But the majority of it is, say for instance, if they gave you that ad 4 or 5 times before your content actually started, then you might just log off entirely.
Right.
You'll take a 10-second ad of something you don't like, turn the phone the other way.
I pay for YouTube Red so that I don't have to do
Yeah,
that.
I just
Same thing
recently
here.
did. Yeah, I love YouTube Red, by the way.
Yeah, same thing here. But I feel like the algorithm exposes to us who we are because their only job, people want to say how evil they are and how, mastermind. Look, their only job is to keep you on the website longer
Right.
in front of the advertisements so that they in turn make more money and can build these companies. If that's the goal, we are our own monsters.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So there was a time period where, I like back when it was really prevalent in terms of at least videos, like when all the police shootings were going down and it was, unarmed black men, that's all I saw on my timeline. And it came times where it was like the video will be halfway through the video right when he gets shot. And it's like, I can't even look past it. But they do that because they know when they're looking at the seconds that I spend on every post,
Every post.
even the posts that say rest in peace to somebody, and I see like 4 or 5 people that I know who know this person. Now, the next time I get on Facebook, guess what? Guaranteed within that first 5 posts is going to be an RIP post.
Yeah.
Now my mind goes to work and says, man, more people are dying around me.
Yeah.
Am I next?
Yes, that's literally happening to my mom right now, and I actually sat her down and I talked to her about that whole algorithm thing,
Right.
and she's like, that makes so much sense. She's like, yeah, she's like, because I actually started doing it, and she's like, wait, there's not a lot of people dying right now,
But you know what the original
It's the least amount of people dying in like human history.
But you know what the original algorithm was?
What?
The news.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they could tell when you were the most interested. That's why in that first 10 minutes they're hammering at your every insecurity about living in the neighborhood that you live in.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like that's why I would have my buddy's grandmother would be like, she didn't want us to leave the apartment after watching the first 10 minutes of news.
Yeah.
Why? Because everything is
because death is waiting for you.
Death is waiting for you out in the streets.
Yeah.
And so that was the original algorithm. Now they've just found a way to it feels like a Twilight Zone episode in that everybody's focused on like this huge, demonic force that has
It's
our
a Black
doom.
Mirror episode.
It's a Black Mirror episode,
Yeah.
but in all actuality, it's like they don't have to do half the work
Right.
that you think these people are because
yeah.
we do most of the work ourselves. Even like I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
Sure,
I was gonna
sure,
say,
no.
even when there was a time in hip hop where, they were up in arms about everything rappers did, from the violence in the music to what they were wearing, sagging their pants, and it was going to Congress. They don't have to do that anymore.
Right,
There's
right.
an entire, a group of whatever on the internet right now who will get offended before them and censor each other. We're censoring each other before it becomes law.
right.
Dude, what you're describing, like, I feel like it's the same old human argument. Because, like, remember when we were kids, it was the TV.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, you're letting the TV be your kid's babysitter. You're not spending enough time with your child, and they're developing
Can't even get a
antisocial
kid to watch
behavior.
TV anymore.
Yeah, you're developing...
Right? They don't even want to watch TV.
They're developing antisocial behavior as a result of doing nothing but, like, being addicted to technology, basically.
Yeah.
Now it's the same thing. Ultimately, you are still the master of your own domain.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it's important to have the discussion so we're aware of it, but the problem, if I had to point at something and say it's a problem with 2018, is that instead of looking at what's happening in the world and going, wow, how magnificent is it that we have all this technology?
Oh, yeah,
let's
our
work better
default
on
is-
ourselves.
yeah.
Our default mode is, look how they're lying to us and they're fucking with us and it's all their fault.
Right.
Like this thing that exists, which is like, it's insane.
It's probably, though, again, like we talked with Noah about like the Me Too stuff, and we talked, I think all of this still fits into it's messy right now because things are changing.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, because this is going to work
It is.
itself out.
Yeah,
Sure, it has
Um,
to. Has to.
Yeah, because it always has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For all the people that are complaining and going, how horrible, it always has
Yeah.
done this.
Here's something actually that's been on my mind a lot.
Okay.
And when you were talking about the news.
Russia Doomsday Machine.
Yeah. It's got 17 wheels. It's really weird.
It does?
Yeah, 17.
Are you shitting me? Mm-hmm. Oh,
okay. So
you had some intel.
Yeah. No, I have no intel. The news specifically. Recently, I've been like learning more about Ted Turner's life.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time like paying attention to like people who I respect and admire,
sure.
and like getting to know them.
Uncle Ted.
Uncle Ted was the founder of the 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, you know, one thing that I keep going back to in all these life lessons is that it seems like no matter what you do, no matter how well-meaning you are, no matter how good of a person you are, give it a few generations and it goes evil somehow.
Yeah, no matter what the intention are, because and I think that's what human beings now are becoming so, why they're more focused on their being offended, because they want somebody else to blame for how evil at the core they start to display that we are, and we display ourselves as they don't want. The thing is, it has to be somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
And see, that goes back to earlier where we're talking about in these interactions with other creatives,
right?
You know, because you would think the creative community, nobody understands us like other creatives,
Right.
But in
that we could
turn,
somehow transcend these
but in turn,
normal people things.
It's interesting
yeah,
because like there's a lot more discussion these days about the 24-hour news cycle and about how badly it has fucked us as a culture. But I don't hear anybody bringing up the fact that Ted Turner invented that.
Yeah.
Because Ted's one of our guys. He's focused on preservation. He's legitimately a good human being who wants to do good for the world.
He made WCW.
Nobody's bringing that up.
He made WCW.
He did make WCW.
That's one of the greatest inventions
you
of all
can't.
time.
It is.
The thing is, you can't be angry at these individuals for creating something that exposes the monster in you.
I mean, how many people have died in Jesus' name? You know?
yeah,
No matter where you go.
I was telling you about that girl I met from Argentina, right? And I'm talking to her about different things, and Michael Jackson came up in a conversation, right? And I was saying, man, it's fucked up how how they did. I think I said something like, man, like how they did Michael Jackson. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, she didn't understand the concept. And so I had to break down to her, like, yeah, here in America, sometimes we like to watch the fall. It's like a big thing. It garners a lot of media. People love to see people fall out from glory. On top of that, there is also an idea and a population of people that believe that people become targets of more powerful people in America.
Right.
And she was just like, what? Like, wait, so she's like, explain to me how this deals with Michael Jackson.
This was a new thing to her.
Yeah, it was totally new to her. And she was just like, wait, how does that?
Conspiracy theory.
She's like, I thought you guys didn't like Michael Jackson because like of the way he danced or whatever. No, I was like, no, we loved him because of that
part. Yeah.
The way he danced?
Yeah, because she thought we went like,
She thought we didn't like him because he wasn't masculine or something?
Yes, right. That was the key, because no one had ever explained to her. She just kind of put it together herself and was like, oh, okay, he's not that masculine. Maybe that's why they hate him. And then I started telling her all about, like the case and how, he actually has never been charged with anything, period.
Right.
And yes, in our country, we have a history of people being targets, right? And that feeds into conspiracy, right? Where people will tend to always feel like because that's part of our cultural thing, right? JFK is probably one of the monumental moments in our history. We still don't know what happened, right? We don't know who the fuck, we don't have no idea what happened, but we tend to fill in that story in our culture a lot. Like, you're a target, this is why. Because I have all these examples of people who are doing whatever you deem to be good or important, and then people wanting to destroy you for it, right? On one side, it's a competition, envy, all these things seem to have played a very important role in our development, right? As human beings. They are things that are bred into us.
Right.
We are coming to the realization of that, you know what, we're a little bit more complex. There are these things that are, especially with the Me Too thing, right? Like, we're talking about the socialization of women and men throughout history. And like you were saying, Arash, we're not just talking about like the 50s. You're talking about since the beginning of time. Yeah. That shit is very deep-seated issues. This is going to be a very rocky time because we're simply bringing in our awareness to that this finally right to these conversation that we're having right now is becoming less and less of a it's becoming less and less of a rarity. Right. These conversations, you can rattle off a bunch of friends who listen to a bunch of podcasts where they're taking in a bunch of information. So I think, again, what we're seeing, and I agree with you with the internet. I think the internet, it's a mirror. It tends to mirror your movements and then increase as it goes, right? Because it's always going to increase. The increase thing is there forever, people, by the way. Just always factor that in. Everything is increasing.
Like that. When I'm interested in a new subject, I look up 2 or 3 videos, and I trust that YouTube's going to start feeding me with that information.
Dude, it's great. I said this the other day. My Instagram ads are amazing. I like all the shit they said. I'm like, this is fucking awesome.
But see, I think that's a better gauge now. When you're seeing the algorithm become a mirror of your new habits. Like now when I look at my YouTube feed, I no longer see like, a rapper gets jumped by 4 Crips. Like, and that used to be like World Star videos. So now I look and see, an unseen speech by Les Brown. 1 hour power talk with
they have enough
Tony
information
Robbins. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing well now. I'm not. The thing is, here's something I always.
You're also making it a point to do that.
I'm making a point to do that.
You're making a point to download that kind of information into your brain.
But you know what really got me with that was, when I heard a Les Brown talk where he says that when we first wake up, our brain moves at 10.5 wave cycles a second, meaning that anything that we take in, we're a lot more receptive of what we're taking in at that point in time. Our brain just grabs on to stuff at crazy pace, right? So because of that, if you choose to look at social media as the first thing you do during the day, say you go on Twitter and then you look and happen to catch one of somebody that, is a friend of yours that says, maybe not even a friend of yours, but they just say, you know what, today is pretty shitty. Already. It could be 7 a.m., 6 a.m. You don't automatically go into that mode, but literally what you consume starts to determine the mood of that day, or at least starts to structure the mood of that day. You wake up, you walk past the bed, you stub your toe. Still not a shitty day. You go to the kitchen, you go pour your cereal, and there's no more milk. Still not a shitty day. You get on the road and you start driving, and 2 cars cut you off. Then it starts to providing the evidence that this might be a shitty. Then you get to work and realize that, somebody has blamed you for the mess up of somebody else. Now, before it's even 12, it's already a shitty day. And what do we do at lunchtime to satisfy our shitty day? Go right back to the machine that has produced the idea that it's a shitty day. So when I looked at it like that, and I said, okay, if that's like the normal person's sort of regimen, what is my regimen and what am I doing? Me having more free time by, having a business of my own actually makes me more susceptible to this kind of mindset because I'm consuming, I'm seeing more stuff. So if I'm not, like you said, actively sort of figuring out what I want to actually watch. If
sculpting your life.
Sculpting my life, sculpting the things that come into my brain, even like the people that I'm around. Like these conversations are so rewarding. That's why when I get the text about doing a podcast, it's not even a question. Because I know these I'm going to walk away with something here. But how many times do we consume conversations, either because we've convinced ourselves that this is necessary or we have to do this in order to get what we ultimately want to get? How many times do we consume that and that becomes a part of our diet? It's like the person that says, okay, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight. But every once in a while I like to have, a milkshake or whatnot, a large milkshake. And it's like, you are creating this confusion within which you are ultimately trying to grow. You can't blame anybody for that.
The diet is the perfect description. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're taking in information the same way you take any other energy.
Right.
And milkshake, on the weekend I like to have a milkshake.
I do too. Even though I'm lactose intolerant. But
I'll look up a video like that. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like on my blogs, for example, I have one blog subscription to Crazy Days and Nights, which is like a entertainment lawyer. Like it's
that's a gossip
blog
thing.
Okay, I have one of those, and I honestly check it every once in a while. I'm like, it's just kind of interesting to read. It's
entertainment at that point. Yeah.
But if all I'm reading was like People Magazine and gossip bullshit and Inquirer, then that's just filling yourself up with garbage, and that's all you're seeing.
Now imagine that, plus a generation of rappers that live and die by the book 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
When I see that, like it's crazy. I remember going on the road with
Shout out to Kali, by the way. I know he's laughing right now. Yeah, we just had this conversation.
That book is like people don't realize. You have to understand that at the heart of that book was a bitter author who was angry that his particular ideas for movies were not being picked up.
Yeah.
He was angry, and he made this book out of anger. This is why Mastery came, because Mastery was sort of his answer. Like, no, it's not all evil. Like, you have to actually master your craft. He made that in response to 48 Laws. And
it was almost satirical to some extent, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. And there's certain thing that even when you look at, like, when you listen to the audiobook, I remember, like, I used to listen to the audiobook, and my ex would be like, you're turning just as evil as this audiobook. What are you listening to? It's like devil stuff. And I'm like, no, but I can see how you feel that way.
Yeah.
And so what I realized, and I was going to give the example, like, me, Noah, and Lisa, and my homie Austin, a few other friends, were in the car driving to South by Southwest a few years ago, listening to this audiobook. And it's so hard not to have the feeling of, wait a minute, are one of my friends doing this to me?
Yeah.
And it may be all completely a facade.
It is very set up to do that.
But that's the point of it. The point of it is, I feel like it was, like you said,
like The Secret.
Like The Secret. But,
right.
that's
I'm not saying that they're the same subjects, but they're written in a way for you to be able to apply it very simply to whatever mood you're in. Yeah. Right? We know The Secret is way more complex than The Secret.
Just attracting.
Right. Yeah. Like, I want that. No, there's work and a bunch of shit, right? Well, with with that thing, the 48 Laws of Power, and it's so funny because the reason I said Kali, because we were talking about how it's getting more rare, but I remember a time when it would pop up, like almost every conversation. I'd be like, wait, are you running the 48 Laws of Power? I mean, right now?
Like,
do you really?
Are you reciting some shit?
Yeah, like this is literally, and there were so many rappers doing it, and they were doing it in a way where there was literally no empathy factored into it at all. It was just like step on a throat, step on a back. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what happens around me. It's not going to affect me.
Dude, internalizing all those lessons is like, it's very similar to that same thing that existed in hip hop about like watching the gangster movies,
right?
The mafia, like the whole mafia lifestyle, and like not seeing that these are all unhappy endings.
Yeah.
Every single one of those stories,
like horrible.
These are all terrible.
Before you take this on, you sure you want this? Like, don't just take the highlights of this situation. That's what I looked at. I was like, well, these all ended very badly. But he framed it in a way that I was like, I'm not telling you to do this, but I'm telling you this is how you attain this level of power.
Right.
So he got to wash his hands with it. But to me, it seemed like the most dangerous thing to happen to anybody, not just rappers, but when somebody gets knowledge that they feel empowers them, but they have no context.
Right.
That's the most dangerous thing, because then you start kind of, pushing off this new momentum, this new motivation that you have from something that you have no idea where it came from. I'll give you an example. And this is the opposite direction of it. But there was a time, and I wrote about it in my book, is that there was a time where, I had been like in extreme poverty. I was living with the homie Jinx. We were all living in some bad, circumstances. But I had been making a crazy amount of beats for a rapper, and he decided that he wasn't going to do the project anymore because of some label stuff, and it ended up being like 80 beats in 3 months. I put all my hope into this project changing my life. My car got repoed, a bunch of stuff happened. I happened to come across a Facebook article, and at the time, this song that was on YouTube was like a viral video called "Friday" by Rebecca Black, right?
Yeah.
And so I had been watching it as entertainment and laughing about it with like Noah and all of them. And I had been listening to it a lot, because anytime they would talk to me and say something crazy, I would just play it and be like, ha ha ha, listen to this.
Yeah.
Then I came across a Facebook article that basically said that people were listening to this song, and it had demonic messaging within it that caused them to commit suicide. I was so susceptible at that moment to any kind of article like that I was convinced I was going to be the next one. As ridiculous as it sounds, I was fully.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I can laugh about it now.
You might kill yourself?
I was convinced. I got up.
Because it was telling you to kill yourself.
In the book, I'll tell you. In the book, like, I got up and I started reading like the article, and then they were so spot on with like, it's this part that you must read into because it suggests something else. So this person, they gave examples of people who actually committed suicide after it. And then I told myself, I said, I'm no better than them, and I'm in this. Why not me? And so I got up and literally it was like one of the most lowest moments of my life. And I got to the point where I was convinced. I got up, I opened the door, and I was getting ready to jump off of the second story. I was getting ready to jump out of the apartment that I was living in.
From Rebecca Black's?
From that story, from reading it, from the amount of stress, the amount of I was having a nervous breakdown.
Okay, all right.
Literally. And so I was having a nervous breakdown. Didn't realize having a nervous breakdown. And then a day later, Fame Kills tells me, "Oh man, you know that article was from The Onion, right?" I didn't tell him the situation.
Wow.
I didn't tell him the situation, but I was like, yeah, man, I read this article, man. It's kind of crazy. I stopped playing the song. He was like, well, you know, that was like a fictional article.
Wow.
But it was so real to me. It sounds ridiculous now, but it was so
it
real to
doesn't.
me.
It shows the power of creating your reality.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. That's the flip side of somebody who takes in 48 laws at a time when they need something to latch on to.
Yeah.
They need it because they feel powerless. So you get that and you're like, okay, I'm getting ready to show my job, everybody here, that I'm not to be reckoned with, and you ignore the context of this. Had I known that was a fictional article from like an Onion, and it's funny because I kind of knew about Onion.com already because it was sort of a new media that was coming up. It's like fictional articles, but I was so vulnerable at that moment and so weak. Spiritually and mentally at that time that I was willing to give into it. And
you were already weakened from like a weekend of partying. So when the cold virus showed up,
it was ready.
Got right into your system.
It was ready. And then literally the only thing that stopped me, and immediately got sick. And the only thing that stopped me, and this is the only movie moment of the book, is that literally I had been pacing the room so fast that there was a picture of my youngest sister that didn't have a frame. It was just sitting on top of the laptop. And, as I'm pacing back and I got tears rolling down my eyes, the picture floats down very conveniently and then lands up on her face. And it's almost like the way she looked in the camera, she was looking in my face. And I just closed the door and I slept for the next 5 or 6 hours. I was sleep deprived. I was depressed. I was stressed out. But see, that's what I'm saying is that is the power of getting information and having no context, getting information and getting so round up about it, and you haven't done your research. You think this is the way to go because I don't have any other answers.
I'm sorry, Curtis, I got to say, I think the real lesson from the story is more all the other stuff that you're bringing up. Your physical weakness, the sleep deprivation, the other stuff. The context of the information was like a straw that broke the camel's back. You're right. You do need to focus on what that is. But I'm saying there's people who are out here walking around right now who have no idea they're weakened until something like that happens. This is because look earlier. I'll give you an example. Earlier when you guys were talking about like the hater topic,
right?
So a few years ago when I was in my darkest place, and I just gone back into therapy. It was after I broke up with my ex. Mm-hmm. I remember I was like telling my therapist like that I was so irritated by all these fucking chipper people in my office. They walk in, they're so fucking happy all the time, and everything's so perfect, and they're all smiling and laughing, and I'm fucking stuck there.
Right.
And my therapist, he's this younger dude, Turkish dude named Erkut. He looks at me, he's like, no, I think what you're describing is one person.
Wow.
Literally, without missing a beat, by the way, without even waiting to hear more. He's like, I don't think it's everybody. I think you're describing one person. And then I thought about it and we went back and forth. I'm like, you're right, I am describing one person.
Yeah.
Because like there is this, what happens is when we are when our bodies are weakened, when we have taken on bad habits, we're not eating well, we're not sleeping, we are not putting the right kind of physical energy into our bodies.
Right.
We become weak, we become susceptible, and where the brain seems to go is it immediately goes towards making you the other, makes everybody else unified against you. And so I've seen this multiple times, and I've since I learned this, I've been able to have this conversation with a lot of like friends when they talk about like, God, everybody in the group fucking hates me and they're talking shit about me. And I'm like, no, I don't think it's everybody.
It's one person.
Yeah, maybe even one person, by the way.
It might just be you.
Yeah.
Might just be
There are 7 people with
Having
7 very different motivations, with different thought processes.
Right.
Everybody's worried about their own thing. Trust me, they're not that worried about you.
It's like the whole noticing when you fall thing. Remember we talked about that?
The noticing what?
When you're walking down the street and you trip and you're embarrassed because you think everybody saw you.
Nobody
the reality is nobody.
Maybe one person.
Maybe. And it was like that. They were just like, oh, someone fell.
Yeah. Dude, our minds will very easily become susceptible when we're not putting the right energy into it.
Right.
Again, like reaching a little bit further, even look at the Trump voter base, for example. I'm not talking about the guys that we know here in like in like the cities and
California.
towns, that are more like political, they're detached or whatever. Like there's like a big, large voter base of his, for example, that are like super poor, and they're not eating well. There's a lot of things about their general energy where they are more susceptible to the kind of information that
their daily concerns are way more stressful.
We eat healthy, we eat organic, we have yoga, we live next to the ocean. Like there's all this shit.
Sprouts.
Yeah, you can work out. First of all
this stuff affects you.
You work out.
Like
you have time to literally work on your body.
And think about what you're doing. You're dedicating energy that would have been put somewhere else because you have nowhere else to put it.
Absolutely. Dude, Hip Hop Eddie, our manager, he was describing to me like for a while when he was living down in TJ. Remember, like that was like a dark time.
He said he could literally feel the dark.
Yeah,
like this darkness go over himself, and he's like, I would get super angry and
like the one story he was giving this example. He's like, he's walking to the car, and he's like, it probably wasn't a big deal, but he was walking to his car, and he had his groceries, and his hands weren't free, and some guy was like kind of walking up behind him. And he had this moment where he started to think, like, is this dude about to stick me up?
Right.
And it turned out it wasn't. The dude was just minding his own business, shuffling by. It's a packed town.
Right.
But it is a concern that existed in the back of his head. And he's like, that concern's in the back of your head all the time. And it affects you all the time.
What you focus on becomes reality.
Yeah, dude, I was thinking this past week when I had this migraine for a couple of days, where it's like this ice pick headache. And I meditate regularly, so like usually I can bring in the meditative practice, but with the ice pick headache, you can't stop it. It's just like stab.
Yeah. I know those very well.
And that fucks with your whole day.
Yeah. Everything
My productivity is fucked. I couldn't focus for like the next 3 days. That domino affected into negative thoughts about like my relationship.
Yeah.
Negative thoughts about like just like I can't focus. I feel defeated. It was like 3-4 days. Like I had all this work at work that was like fucking me up more.
Yeah.
But like it domino effects.
Right.
And just these little bit of physical things. Like when we are truly privileged and blessed here in Southern California. I know not all of our listeners are here, but like we are definitely privileged in our access to a lot of like self-care.
Right.
But not everybody in the world has that, and that does affect the way that you behave, and it affects the reality that you manifest for yourself.
And what you're saying right there, the way that you beautifully articulated that is the foundation of the work that I do on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's why like one comment too, the one thing that I felt like I don't mind being a pioneer of, like if somebody's like, oh, you pioneer with the YouTube, I immediately go to like, no, I saw other YouTuber guys that were in Philadelphia that were kind of doing something similar, but I felt like I had something different to offer.
Yeah.
The real core of that is that we just glance over the subject of mental health when it comes to hip hop. And we know it's an issue.
Absolutely.
We keep seeing it's an issue. We keep seeing nervous breakdowns by people that we hold up in highlights when they're doing well, but when they're doing bad, it's just almost like that is a major issue, mental health. And also, too, mental health is not just people who have nervous breakdown. Mental health is also when you come from an environment of scarcity, and you come from an environment where if you have something and I don't, that's mine that you're taking away from.
Absolutely.
You put that person in a position of making money or in a position to do business with people who don't even understand that ideology. They come from abundance. You're already setting them up for failure. So then when I do these videos are not anti-industry. These videos are pro-independence. Learn these things, and beyond what I'm giving you, because I always call it the vitamin and the brownie. I got that from Evidence, said it in an article one time, but the vitamin and the brownie is literally, the brownie is, I'm going to give you Instagram hacks. But the vitamin I'm giving you really is, get away from trying to be an Instagram specialist.
Right.
By this vehicle, because I had a video did that last week, and it's like 7,000 views in 2 days.
Yeah.
Because I know that's what they want.
Yeah.
But the vitamin of it is, no matter what, you got to do good shit. You got to do good content. You have to make sure that at the end of the day, you focus on being a specialist in your field and not, and it's something I heard Gary Vee say too, but be a specialist in which you are put here, your God-given gift. And at the end of the day, don't focus so much on social media that you forget what your gift is.
Right.
So as I focus on that stuff, it becomes easier to have these conversations because they realize like, and it's funny when people like, if they think like they're these, these massive geniuses when they come through and they say, this applies to more than just hip hop. Really? Really? Because I saw that. That part, I got to give myself credit for. I saw that from the beginning. I said, how can I make the literature of Tony Robbins and Les Brown cool to somebody who's into hip hop?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
by being an example first, because they're not going to care what I'm talking about if I don't look like I'm living it.
Right.
That's the one thing I do love about hip hop is that our hypersensitivity allows us to vibe with somebody.
Right.
We use words like vibe. I'm not feeling him. I'm not feeling his energy. It allows us to look at people and say, if 95% of our conversations are body language, 5% of it is just words. Right. People are focusing on, every gesture that you're doing. So if that's the case, I have to literally ingest this information so deeply that it's coming out of my pores.
Yeah.
So every video, people are like, I can't believe you sit there for 12 minutes and you just come off the top with these ideas. And it's like, I live this.
Yeah.
If
that's all I'm thinking
that's
about.
all I'm thinking about. So as I'm giving you this, it's not me. Even like the whole idea of giving, like I know that I am giving my time and I'm giving my information. I don't look at it like I'm on this pedestal giving down to people. I look at it like nobody was willing to do this for me.
Yeah.
But the people who, I shouldn't say nobody, but the people who were willing to do it weren't influential individuals within the mass, umbrella of hip hop. There were people that, was the guy that was working a 9 to 5 and said, hey, I know you make beats, come into my company. We do trailers for video games.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come in there. Gave me my opportunity to produce for a video game trailer.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that experience, running around trying to go find where Ab-Soul was. Running to go find, because they had their own business to tend to.
Right.
And so I really try to make sure that these artists gain their independence. Stop worrying about when somebody's going to show up to your house like Publishing Clearinghouse and give you that check that's going to change your life. They're not coming.
Right.
Or at least you got to work like they're never coming.
Yes.
Right.
So that's what you're saying right there. That's why I'm glad that you said that and articulated that, because that is the foundation of what I do. That's why here I am 2 years in, I'm almost 650 something videos.
Ooh,
wow.
And that's not even just my channel.
Good God.
That's that. But that energy, when you're asking, like, how do you come up with, like, there's a guy named BusyWorks TV he has a monopoly on FL Studio when it comes to FL Studio tutorials on YouTube.
Yeah.
Genius dude. I finally got to link up with him a few weekends ago at a seminar he threw. And so I aligned with him and we came out with a deal where he said, can you provide 50 videos doing what you do, but do it on my channel?
Yeah.
Almost like a TV station saying, give us a season.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I said, yeah. I shot all 50 videos in 4 hours.
Wow.
It took me a day and a half to edit them.
That's
Full day and a half, but
crazy.
4 hours. And I literally had a mountain of T-shirts. Pulling my T-shirt off, next one. This is the next day. Called Coffee with Curtis. If you go look at those, I have the same haircut through every 50 videos.
Wow.
I couldn't change that.
Yeah.
But
That's amazing.
But literally, like that's what I'm saying is that when it's bleeding out of you, you don't worry about how it's going to come together.
Yeah.
That's going to figure itself out. The bigger thing is, I was more afraid of having the conversation at the end of the night of what could I have done today.
Wow.
That terrifies me.
Dude, so I want to know how you wrote the book.
Yeah.
What was the process?
Why should
there?
people have this book?
Why should we have this book?
No, I want to know more about the technical
process.
stuff. Like your Stephen King has the 4 hours a day thing that he does.
Right.
Well, if you
2 hours.
remember, he was writing this whole thing, obviously now.
Right.
During times we've had conversations.
Yeah.
And we weren't
It's about
talking
a
much
2-year
about
process.
it.
Of course, yeah. I want to know about the physical process.
So I made the mistake early on, because I never wrote a book before. I made the mistake of just going in and just writing. I got that from Finding Forrester. He said, just punch the keys. He said, just keep writing. punch the keys. Punch the keys, damn it. That's what I was doing, was punching the keys, and I was just typing my story out, not really having a structure. It was like, I knew that at the very foundation, I wanted to make a story about how I went from my grandmother's patio to, having my own business of Curtis King Beats. I didn't know what stories were even relevant to somebody who wanted to read it. So then I talked to the publisher's wife, who also makes books, and she said, try this out. She said, make the table of contents first. And I was like, but I don't even know what the table of contents would include. So then I started going into, she said, well, use something that you learned from your years in hip hop that could help bring this story together. So I said, okay, 15 chapters. I'm going to describe the beat making process in 15 chapters. Like just looking at it, right? That's not what every chapter is about. But I said, okay, first chapter is the tempo.
Yeah.
Because when you're making a beat, you got to establish the tempo. But guess what? Tempo is also a double entendre for, or it represents also symbolically the tempo I had to set mentally to go on the road that I was going to go on.
Yeah.
What I had, like the pace in the beginning, the fact that I went and chose to get MTV Music Generator for PlayStation to make music instead of getting NBA 2K3 like every other kid my age.
Yeah.
That's the tempo being set.
Yeah.
Right? So The next thing she said is make the table of contents, then get every one of those ideas, those passionate, burning ideas that you have at the front of your brain, start ranting on a tape recorder, every single chapter. That's what I did. I did it for like the first 6 chapters of the, it's like a 13 chapter book.
You were just recording it?
I just literally was just recording, like I'm talking right now. I was making perspirations on a tape recorder, but they were for like stories that I went through. Or even like I would talk to somebody who had a better memory of when we first came together. The guy that taught me how to sample was a Chicano rapper. Taught me how to sample my beats. And I talked to him on the phone. I was like, man, take me back to that time. What do you remember? And then I record them. I put them on, I recorded, uploaded to my Dropbox, had this app that records phone conversations. That became part of the rant. So these rants went from being like just off the top of my head stories to take these stories. Now when you have the benefit of sitting in front of this Word document, take the meat of these stories and then take the bigger lessons from those and really display them in there.
Wow.
So then now it becomes more of a controlled situation. So now every chapter, I'm not just endlessly talking like I was in the first draft. The first draft, I was just telling a bunch of stories.
Yeah.
It's like a long Facebook post.
Yeah.
And so thankfully between the publisher's wife and having a great editor, the editor is the reason why this sounds like it's not my first book. The editor brought these ideas together. He had me restructure, bring things in. He said, I think this applies more to this. I would like to highlight this. Even, he allowed me to do things like imagine reading a story about, my first beat battle, right? And I'm telling you how nervous I was and what I was wearing. And then you take your phone out, scan a QR code and you can watch it.
Yeah.
That's all throughout the book.
Yeah.
So that's what all brought it together. But the physical process of putting it together was literally make the table of contents and talk them out, talk the chapters out. Because in all actuality, when you sit there, you're typing, you're in the act of being an author.
Yeah.
You're not telling it how you would with your voice, right? So then when I ran it, I said, this is what I really wanted to say, but it took me 14 paragraphs to get to just one thing.
Wow.
That helped tremendously. So anybody who wants to write a book, that's the way to go about it.
How'd you find your editor?
The editor was actually provided by the publisher. So I got approached by the publisher once I made the video, The Biggest Lie in Hip Hop.
Right.
He happened to have because he makes a series called The Prosperous ... So it's the prosperous producer, the prosperous coach, and he wanted me to add the prosperous producer to his series. He was working with a DJ. He was working with a DJ that was from the UK. She watched the video, shared it with him, and said, I think this guy has a book in him. He contacted me through my website contact form and was like, I think you have a book in you.
That's dope.
And I was like, this has got to be like a prank or a troll or one of my subscribers trying to throw me off. Huh?
Who's the DJ?
Oh my gosh. I want to say like DJ Lanks or something like that. But I got to look at the name again because I just found the contact form when he first hit me up. But that was the crazy part. Because
I'm going to be in London in a week. I can go say what's up.
Yeah, you should. You should. If you can get in contact with her, that would be amazing. But she's passed the word to the publisher.
That's dope.
And then he said, would you be open to having a Skype conversation? And I was like, yeah, sure. Because in my mind, I thought like, I'm not going to make a book until I'm in my 40s. And then I'll just take that as the end of my, journey. And the more he started talking, the more I realized, the purpose of the series was to do the same thing I was doing in my Curspirations.
Right.
So why not do that in a way where I can show somebody my story, and every single chapter here's like the 10 lessons to take from these stories. It's not just me saying I have such an amazing story, I have to share it. It's this is a story that a lot of producers can relate to. Do not go down these same roads, or do go down this road a little earlier. But I take you from, the first time I was in the studio with Kendrick Lamar and Ab-Soul, the first time, I did a beat battle, the first time I made a beat in my grandmother's patio, all these stories that literally shape where the story is at today.
That's super dope, man. Yeah.
The QR code thing?
Yeah.
Where did that idea come from?
Where did the idea initially come? Because I wanted to bring it. It might have been the editor who said, we should find a way, an interactive way. I cannot remember.
That is such a great idea.
But because what's funny is that my lady and I were reading the book, like when I first got my proof copy, we were reading the book together. It was our first time reading these stories, because we haven't been together a long time, but she hasn't heard all these stories. So as she's hearing these stories, she's like, that's crazy. It'd have been crazy. Like, she said, do you have video footage of that? I said, this is what the QR code is for. Go to it after you read a story to see it in living like in front of you.
That's amazing.
It doesn't matter how bad the quality is. Like there's old videos that Lisa used to shoot on her old video cam that are still on YouTube. I'm telling the story, and she's like, I would have never known that looking at this video, all these things were going on at the same time. But now watching it, you get to relive it as it goes through. So to me,
that's a great reason already. There's a reason right there, people.
Just tap into it.
That's just amazing. Okay, so you read. So is it for each chapter?
Every chapter is a QR code, pretty much for anything. Like even like I have when I was going to Orange Coast College, I was in an advertising principles class, and one of our group projects was to make a campaign for a zoo that had a dying business, and they wanted to like basically get people excited about going to the zoo. It was in San Diego at that too.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was supposed to be
SeaWorld.
No, it might have been for the San Diego Zoo. Yeah. So like we literally like we were giving a project saying that the sales are failing. We need to like make radio ads and TV commercials, and so we took on and said, let's make a radio jingle. And they said, since you do music, you should make the radio jingle. At that time, I had only made like hip hop beats. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I sat there and I twiddled around with the keys and I found like a little catchy melody. And then I had my little sister come in and basically like sing, I want to go to the zoo today. So you get like these and I engineered, it's super corny, it's super cheesy, but you get to have access to that.
That's on the book.
That's in the book.
What?
So even like my first beat, producers who were like, his first beat probably was like really, he's probably exaggerating how bad it was. You click on it, it takes you to a unlisted YouTube video that nobody can see unless you have the book. You get to listen to that beat and be like, wow, he really was terrible. Like he came a long way.
How do you, I know you're working on the audiobook.
Oh, it's done.
It's done.
It's done. So now the process.
Who'd you hire to do the audio?
He did the audio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
16 hours. So when I first began dissecting the elaborate compositions of producers like Dr. Dre, Jay Dilla, Ninth Wonder, Timbaland, the Neptunes, and Organized Noise, I desperately needed to understand that any beat, no matter how complex and intimidating the final product sounds, has to start with something as simple as its tempo. Chapter 2, the snare. The character of your beat is in your snare. J Business. In every single beat I produce, the snare always represents the foundation for the attitude I want to create within that beat. If I want the attitude of my beat to be authoritative and bold, I'll use a heavy snare in a lower tone. If I want my snare to provide a fun and energetic landscape, I'll use a clap or a snap. Every aspect of your snare, from its timing to the amount of reverb you put on it, communicates a different message to your listener. Chapter 3, the kick. The kick is the heartbeat of your drum loop. Awesome. The kick is the often unsung hero of every drum loop. It's like the Napoleon Dynamite of drum loops. What I mean by this is that many producers underestimate the value of their kicks and what they contribute to their beats. But when it comes to hip-hop beats, my producer brother Awesome takes a unique perspective on the importance of the kick. He believes that if the kick drum is utilized correctly, it can represent the heartbeat of a drum loop.
Yeah.
16 hours it's probably going to be on like a 4-hour. It was 16 hours.
I was going to pitch me to do it.
You would have been excellent for it. You've been excellent.
But do it in a better voice.
Yeah.
Let me hear a new how would you do criticism?
Give me a piece of the audio and I'll read it.
Here. I want you to read. What part would you like him to read from?
I'm just going to do a random chapter.
Just go to a random chapter.
He's going to try out for the redo. For the redo.
Because there's parts of that
But
book.
I need a good voice, though, Rush. Not your voice.
Not just my voice.
Not just your voice.
That's way
good voice.
No.
I don't do voices.
I'm telling you to take it up a level. It's the prosperous producer, bro. You can't just...
All right, how about, let me see. When I first chose to attend Orange Coast College in 2005, I had intentions of doing what probably every other aspiring producer on campus was there to do.
It changes the
Join
tone.
the music production program
Dun, dun, dun.
and earn my certificate. But by my second semester, I was falling madly in love with the world of marketing, thanks to Professor Morgan.
Oh, I like how you said the Morgan.
Yeah,
That was needed. That was needed.
Yeah.
That extra tone was needed.
His teaching style was simplifying a field I'd always been extremely complex and confusing.
Wait. Read the back. Because this will be the commercial, right? Like the back is read the first pair, the highlighted parts.
That quote is going to be amazing.
Curtis King, producer. rapper, mentor to thousands of aspiring artists and entrepreneurs through his YouTube channel.
I'm getting excited.
His production credits include Kendrick Lamar,
ominous.
Absol, E40, and Murs, and giants like MTV, VH1, and fans.
Wow. And
Yeah.
2 years
That's
later,
amazing. I like that.
he was on death row.
You know, if it was like the VH1 True Hollywood story,
Yeah.
and then the drugs happened.
And then the drugs happened.
Yeah.
I might have a second career in this.
I tell you, the one decision I made, because he asked me if I wanted to hire the voice actor, and I said the one decision was just one line in that book where I played, where I was telling like this interaction I had with a Crip that when I got my first pair of Jordans, and I was trying to describe how like the culture of Carson where I was living.
Yeah.
And so I was walking out of school when this guy was, he said, this OG Crip says, watch out, little cuz, with them shoes on. I was like, how would that sound?
Yeah.
If,
Try it. Watch out, little cuh.
With them
shoes on. Ready?
Watch out, little car, with them shoes on.
Yeah. It's less ominous. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. That is amazing because
Yeah,
that
right?
that
Like, I
line
would have been like, oh, okay,
that's
sir.
where you could have
thank
shined.
you.
That's where you had to shine. That's where you had.
Yeah.
But when I thought about that one line, I was like, nah, because of the way I wrote that, I have to be the one that if I deliver one line in this book,
Yeah.
it has to be that one. But I'm glad I did it because what I realized is that whenever I continue to work on the next book, there's certain things that you read when you're reading silently that flow like water. Then there's certain things that you wouldn't think would be tongue twisters.
Yeah.
And I think it's just from having a history in rap.
Yeah.
And that I would write words that in my lyrics that I would try to rhyme certain words or certain consonants would match up mathematically. It sounds like rapping. So there's certain parts in there where the editor worked with me to kind of get the vision. But then certain times he didn't want to lose sort of my voice in it.
Yeah.
But as I read it out loud, I was like, why am I, this is such an easy line. Why do I stumble with this?
Yeah.
And it's just the positioning of words when you say them out loud.
I'm super hyped that you did it though. Like I love it when the author actually does it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I love that. Audiobook is dropping when?
Mid-February. The audiobook will be on Audible, and then we'll have the Kindle version. They're focused. The publisher's focusing right now on just the physical copies, but the audiobook will be available mid-February. A hardback cover will be available. A limited edition hardback.
We like the hard.
I like
packs.
that.
Yeah, that's almost like getting the vinyl for me.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I want to get that. So
want that.
the hardback, and then also, like I said, the Kindle, and those who like to watch on their tablets and whatnot, that version will be available around the same time.
Awesome. How do people get it right now? This very moment?
You can go on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. Please leave a review once you do that. But you can get it also from Curtis King with 2 S's, Curtis King Beats CurtisKingBeats.com/books.
Books. Yeah, and if you guys are listening to this on any of the platforms, you can go to platformcollection.com right now, and that link is there.
Hey, I
Word up.
appreciate that. I do.
You may now flush the toilets.
platformcollection.com.